Welcome to Breaking News. I'm Miley and bring for you latest news on today. President Donald Trump is sending 800 troops to U.S.-Mexico border in anticipation of caravan of Central American migrants that is still a matter of weeks from arriving. And that could be a pretty small group of people by the time it arrives.
The UN estimated the caravan as 7,322 migrants Monday, after thousands crossed from Guatemala into Mexico, evading Mexican authorities by swimming or ferrying across the Suchet River. That estimate, the first and so far only by an intergovernmental body, has become the touchstone. It reflected the caravan's growth as it proceeded through Honduras and Guatemala since its departure as a group of 160 or so migrants on October the 12th. But a few days after the crossing into Mexico, it looks like the growth trend had reversed. The Mexican government stated Wednesday night that it believed 3,630 people were still heading north. On Thursday morning, the AP's Mark Stevenson estimated the number at 4,000 to 5,000 and said it was shrinking due to exhaustion and worry about the dangers of the journey. One migrant's death after falling from a truck Monday has been confirmed. Rumors are circulating about the deaths of two more in Huixla, Mexico, where the caravan stayed on Monday and Tuesday. As of Wednesday, the government of Mexico said that 116 migrants in shelters had agreed to seek voluntary repatriation to their home countries. The AP's reporting indicates that more will join them over the coming days. Meanwhile, thousands more people are still waiting at the Guatemala-Mexico border, where Mexican authorities are slowly processing applications for asylum in Mexico. The Mexican government's Wednesday statement said that they had processed 1,743 asylum applications so far. While a few caravan members pushed through a police fence on Friday to get into Mexico, the Mexican government has since been able to secure the bridge that connects the two countries. The caravan continuing through Mexico now consists mostly of migrants who decided to risk it and cross the river themselves, but thousands of caravan members made the choice to wait and proceed through the official crossings. The humanitarian organization Oxfam said on Wednesday afternoon that about 2,500 migrants from the caravan were still stranded at the Guatemala-Mexico border, waiting to get across. Oxfam coordinator Ivan Aguilar reported that the caravan members were sleeping outside in the rain, some with only bed sheets for protection. They are exhausted, desperate, hungry, and terrified. Oxfam is providing them with latrines and drinking water. More people, including more caravans, are continuing to emigrate from Honduras, Guatemala, and El Salvador, but they're going to run into the existing bottleneck at the Mexico-Guatemala border. Trump administration officials and other conservatives have long maintained that if Central Americans were legitimate asylum seekers, they would be seeking asylum in Mexico rather than the US. To many people, that option isn't terribly appealing. There's currently a 2-year processing backlog in Mexico, thanks to the Northern Triangle exodus. Asylum seekers are often subject to mandatory detention while they wait, and Mexico isn't necessarily a safe place for LGBTQ asylum seekers, or considering the Mexican government's treatment of Central American migrants for asylum seekers in general. Despite all of that thought, it seems that many of the caravan's members are choosing to stay in Mexico, and it's not all clear how many of the people continuing north will last for the several weeks and nearly 1,000 miles it will take to reach the U.S.-Mexico border. But President Trump, his administration, and the Republican Party are still treating the caravan as a national emergency. Their concern isn't with the relative size of the caravan, it's with the idea of a mass of people seeking to enter the United States at all.
Besides that, on Monday, some ones were sending to at least 10 containing explosive devices meant for prominent American liberals.
CNN host John King claimed on Thursday that no one was blaming President Donald Trump for the pipe bombs that were sent to several Democratic figures this week, as his panel then proceeded to blame the president for the pipe bombs. No one is blaming the president, King said. Is anyone blaming the president? But the president now wants to make it about him. As King was making his remarks, CNN Sharon stated, CNN Trump has no plans to claim any personal responsibility for inciting serial bomber. Of course, he played no role in this, Politico reporter Rachel Bate said before speculating, but you have to look at the greater context to this atmosphere he has created in Washington in attacking the media, and you have to wonder if that contributed to what happened yesterday. The Federalist Mary Catherine Ham pushed back on the idea that the president's language was leading to violence, saying, I think in coverage of this, there is a pretty clear implication by much of it that rhetoric inevitably leads to violence. And I actually think that is not a great thing to be saying. If you make the clear implication that speech you object to, and by the way, it's very tempting to say that it's only the speech you object to that causes violence, then we are in a bad situation with the freedoms of the First Amendment afforded us and that we enjoy here every single day. Ham continued, I think that it is a political temptation that too many people go down the road.
And this story appears in breaking news. A news from us on the latest twist and turns around the caravan is already shrinking. Subscribe and follow us along with more about Trump sending 800 troops to the U.S.-Mexico border. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we have reached the duration of today's programs. Thank you for watching.